Hey, Alex. Hi, Erin.
Hi.
Hi, Alex, you're sideways.
I thought you guys were sideways. Look at that.
We're gonna be like this.
It's 2-1. So
2-1. How's that?
there we go.
That's much better.
Appreciate that. Okay. Gosh, we're all here. All right. Paperwork. Looking for my copy of the agenda so that I can call this to order. I'll figure it out. Where'd you go? It's in here somewhere. Oh. Oop. That one. Okay. And it's
Do some gymnastics here.
the acrobatics have got to stop.
Roger.
All right, so we're not all here. I was hoping for Sophia, but we will call the meeting to order. And I do not have the minutes, so we'll just not. Oh, but it says there's 5. It says we have 5 participants. Do we have somebody as a guest?
Maureen Lopez.
Could you bring her on as a panelist? Because if she's who I think she is, I think we met her at the climate change thing, Christine.
I gave her the invite, so
Okay.
yeah, she's coming on.
Okay. Very good. Hopefully Sophia will show up too. Up. Hi, Maureen. Feel free to unmute and show yourself so I can see if you're who I think you are. Hi there. Okay. Oh, so good evening.
Good evening.
So the first thing, the first thing on the agenda was to approve the minutes. Since I failed in that, we will move on to the second item, which is the call for additional agenda items and public comment. So does anybody on the commission have anything they want to add to the agenda? And Maureen, would you like to tell us why you decided to join us this evening?
Well, I did go to that talk recently, and I raised a question that clearly I don't know much about what the Conservation Commission has been doing, and it's my concern that I don't have a sense of what the town is thinking about long term, and trying to be creative about solutions. That I'm well aware of the percentage of our the income in the town is from properties along the shoreline. And so when I look at some of those maps, long term, it's not clear that there will be property there at all. I don't care how high some people raise things. So anyways, it's great that I can sort of visit you all by Zoom.
Okay, great.
What's been happening. Thank
you. So great. So that leads us nicely into item number 4, which is the feedback on the climate change event, which Christine and I attended for the commission. I thought it went well. I suspect that Fran might have hoped to have a few more people from the general public. It seemed to be a lot of people from the different organizations that were involved, but I think it was still good because I think we all made some good contacts in between. I personally thought the speaker was excellent. I was most impressed by the time-lapse photography of the Arctic ice disappearing.
Yeah.
I think everybody should see that, like, because there's not much left up there anymore. And I think that there's going to be some follow-up with the organizations, and I think Fran's next idea was to move on and have sort of a youth summit. So I'm hoping that we will be able to be involved in that as well. Now I know I got to talk to, the various people from the Land Trust and everything, but Christine, you got to talk to the young men who were representing the Eco Club. So
Yeah, I told them to expect someone to be reaching out to them. And I told them about the program that we have for the summer internship, and that we often have two of them serving as, guests during our meetings.
right.
I just basically told them to kind of keep an ear out for that one.
Right. So I'll have to get in touch with Ms. Bracco and go in and see them one of these Mondays, sooner
Mhm.
rather than later. How did the Bower Park Festival event go, Alex?
I'm sorry, say that again?
How did Bower Park go?
Oh, it was an incredible day. I don't remember ever seeing that many people there.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it was really, really a good time, and got to talk to some really nice people.
Mhm. So what did you all end up putting out for the display? And it looks like Sophia managed to get rid of about half of the anti-idling signs.
Yep, people were excited about that. We had the bones out, and we had all the invasive species posters laid out with the info on on the invasive species. People were interested in the no idling stuff, as well as things that were going on in their yards. And but yeah, it went. I thought it was really, really nice day.
Good. I'm glad that went well. I'm glad. And thank you and Sophia both for covering that when Christina and I managed to both get ourselves out of the state I had a lovely weekend too.
Nice.
It was lovely where I was too.
Same.
And I apologize for that. I will make it bigger in my calendar for next year. Okay, so that's all well. So that's some good outreach that we managed to do. The next thing I have on the agenda is to discuss the letter that came to our website about the tree cutting on River Road. So it's from Barb Yeager, who was a member of the Inland Wetlands Agency and is a landscape architect. And Erin, I sent you hopefully received a copy of it as well, because I
Yes.
forwarded. Yes.
I'm on that email address as well. And I
Okay.
actually had a meeting with Barb.
Okay, good.
And the first select woman and our beach and rec director and Lauren Rhines, our risk management coordinator, earlier this week to talk about her concerns and this program that Eversource is doing. And it was brought to the town's attention in the summertime. Both Lauren and Austin met with Eversource tree warden at that time. Excuse me. They provided just a slideshow kind of overview, a PowerPoint presentation of the program, identifying this particular what's the word? I think they call them a device, and it's basically a circuit, which this circuit along River Road as one of the worst performing, and identified the number of residents that it serves, the number of power outages it has had, and this new program that essentially expands it's Eversource being able to go further into the properties and allow and offer tree removal to residents. some of this, I think, is being led, my understanding after meeting further this week, it's being led by some of the Pura regulations, who oversees Eversource, and new requirements if power outages exceed 3 days, where they're then, Eversource is then required to reimburse, automatically reimburse property owners. And then after day 3, which I think I heard it was $25 a day in automatic credit. And then there's an opportunity for property owners to make additional claims for loss of food, things of that nature, up to $125, $150 a day, something of that amount. And so Eversource is, clearly not interested in paying fines or fees for this, and decides to get a little more aggressive and offering removal, because when it comes down to the bottom line, it's likely less expensive to remove the trees than to deal with the repercussions with power outages down the road. That being said, they did have some planting. They are offering planting of new, both smaller trees under 30 feet, mostly flowering. They did give a variety of different species, as well as pollinator plants and shrubs as ground cover in areas that were disturbed. What was alarming, so that this was kind of the first time we heard of this, was this past week after Barb had reached out. We were not aware of this during the summer, and so I think it would have been more proactive to have been able to do some public outreach at that time and notify residents and other interested agencies such as Conservation Commission and others. Barb's concern, a lot of her concerns are that it's not, a clearing of 300 plus trees along River Road is not necessarily consistent with POCD, scenic roads, things of this nature. There was concern from a regulatory end of why this hadn't gone through inland wetlands. And, so I did explain to her that there is not a local requirement for regulatory approval with Eversource through the local inland wetlands. They are under the jurisdiction of DEEP. And from what I can tell, Eversource has followed every protocol that they were supposed to. The tree warden has agreed to meet Barb on site and walk River Road tomorrow. And so both Peggy and myself have offered to join her. So we're going to walk down and kind of just to get a better scope of what exactly is being removed. There's a whole lot of tagging, but not necessarily, it doesn't identify where there's trimming, where, whether or not some of these. So Lucas Trees was working with Eversource, their arborist in training, I guess, or whatever the title is that they call it. So Lucas went through, tagged whatever they thought was a recommendation, and then, did the public outreach to the property owners, and has been able to meet with multiple property owners along the street to see if they're interested in all of those trees, just trimming some of them. So the actual markings on site have not been updated, but their computer documents, for each property have been updated. So they're going to kind of give us a little more detail as far as who's on board for this, and then which ones would affect the town right of way as well. I mean, for example, we're going to meet at Redditch property, and there's a lot on land trust that are tagged, but they're not necessarily all being removed. I think a lot of those are just trimming. But essentially, they've expanded the trimming area to, in theory, it's supposed to be, the further you go out, the larger the tree has to still be able to fall within the fall zone. It's not necessarily that we're, clearing, hi Sophia, clearing everything with no correlation to the transmission lines. Now, I mean, we do know that Eversource will clear whatever property owners tell them to clear. And some have asked, well, can you remove this one too? And they've agreed. So it's a little bit of a sensitive, subject, try to find a balance between some of these, and maybe not have such a harsh,
Right. I would actually say the opposite of that, but because we actually have a couple of dead and dying trees in the town right of way that we asked the Eversource people about, and they wouldn't take them down because they were too big for them.
so you must not be on a line of concern.
I don't get that, frankly. But because yeah, we're the link to Summer Hill. We're the link to the whole north end of Summer Hill. But it was funny.
I don't really know the rhyme or reason. So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to hear from them directly.
Yeah, what
I
time?
would've
What
liked
time is
to
that?
have-
I kind of want to come too.
Yeah, well, I'm meeting up there at 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay. Okay.
You're welcome to kind of walk through. I don't know, it would have been helpful to have this information several months ago to do a little more outreach, to get a little more sense of what it was. This is clearly a learning experience for the town, I think, moving forward.
Right.
And also, we're going to have to identify what trees are within the right of way. In conversations with Lauren, she indicated, so the tree warden, just so you know, the structure here is under the beach and rec department.
Okay.
Thank you. And and all inquiries go through the risk manager or the risk coordinator, who is Lauren in the selectman's office. And so they initiate with Lauren and then get transferred through to beach and rec, to Craig Taylor. So that's why both Lauren and Austin were there. And from my understanding from the meeting, Craig identified only a handful, maybe 5 or 6 trees that are within the right of way. And that's based on GIS mapping. So I don't know the level of accuracy for that. I mean, I do know that GIS is not necessarily accurate. So some
Right.
of these may need a little bit of a closer look. Some of the trees are definitely controversial.
It's not the first time the town has gone through this after Sandy or Irene, when they changed the cutting regs for the utilities, and they gave them, I don't know, whatever it was, another 30 feet. Side to
And
side, and
that's
then up
all
to the
well
side.
advertised on their
Yeah.
website. This
Yeah.
particular pilot program that Barb is calling it is not advertised on, that 100 feet is, I'm not sure where that's coming from, but that's new. There was something that Barb will have to update me tomorrow on. There was environmental council or something of that. I don't know if it's a state agency or a quasi-state agency that met on Wednesday, and this item was on the agenda. She did send me a quick screenshot of, a slideshow that said Madison concern for tree removal. And Barb has reached out to everyone she could. She's tried to get some information from the town of Reading, who has also had some pushback on their area. They have a larger stretch. I think they have about 3.5 miles in their town. But I think this is limited number of municipalities
Right.
that
So is
have
our
this
pilot
program.
only for this River Road stretch, or is
This
it
is the
something?
location that was identified as the
Okay.
worst performer, yes. And
Okay.
it links to Clinton,
Oh.
which I think is a total of 3,500 households
Oh, my.
that are on this line over. I think I have that. I don't have it scanned in, and I apologize that I forgot to bring the paper copy home on my computer. But I think it is 1.5 miles area. And it was clearly identified by Eversource as an
Mhm.
additional project, not their typical maintenance work that they've
Okay.
been doing. So it's, yeah, I mean, it could change the look of River Road for sure. It could, depending on where the trees are, there are inland wetlands and water courses, and I don't know how much in those. That's kind of why I want to get out there and put
Yeah.
my eyes on where these trees are going to be removed. Just to kind of get a sense and see if there's some flexibility.
Right.
I think homeowners are jumping on this opportunity because tree removal is expensive.
Right.
And they're offering stump grinding, is my understanding, and replanting in the spring.
Oh,
So,
my. I was gonna say, so that's definitely a pilot, because they left a log literally 2.5 feet across that they cut to the
I know,
curb at our house, and we're waiting for somebody to hit it. Because we don't
yeah,
have anything that can deal
this
with
is
it.
not anything I've heard of before,
Okay.
so
Okay.
it's help, it's definitely worth the time to
Yeah.
look into this further and see what can be done. It also kind of brings it, and we're not at the POCD, but at this point in here, but it does kind of bring up some of the implementation, the goals that were in the POCD, and highlights several of them that had not been addressed
Right.
since the plan was adopted. And the opportunities for local scenic road creation of that kind of ordinance,
Mhm.
and even a tree replacement program in town, or a tree advisory board, those kinds of things. So this will probably lead to other discussions, and hopefully
Yes.
we can find a compromise that's not going to be quite as significant on River Road.
Mhm. All right. Well, I'm gonna try like heck to get down there tomorrow.
Yep, we'll
when
just
th-
park
is-
right at Reddit.
Right. Okay, did they say and they had a tree replacement list? You said they were offering smaller ones? I'm
Just a
hoping that,
max of 30 feet in height
okay,
are the species, dogwoods, things of that nature. They're not really not a lot of shade trees.
no,
Mostly flowering. I think there were maybe some smaller maples. I do have that. I can scan
Okay.
that list for
Yeah.
you. So at least
or
you
they'll
know.
hopefully have a copy with them tomorrow. I'm just concerned, actually, having recently run into just how bad the Bradford pears are. That used to
Oh,
be
they're
the,
weak. I don't know.
They're-
I don't think
they're
the
weak and they're becoming very invasive. They've somehow crossed back with the local pears, and all of a sudden I've got little Bradford pears we've got them coming up all over the property. I'm like,
Really?
yeah,
Yeah.
which is not cool.
No, I don't know that I didn't see a pair, but I'll look tomorrow morning. I'll scan it in, or I'll just bring my copy. So
Just
can
bring
look
it, if you
through
just bring your copy, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't know about moving the lines to the Hammonasset connector.
That's
That was
significant.
Yeah, that would be significant, or underground at that, through that stretch, and that would also be significant, but so much safer in terms of the storms. But okay, so that's
I think they said we've had 3 power outages in that line over the last 3 years. It wasn't
I
anything.
believe it. No, I believe it, and I'm actually surprised that they're only doing River Road, because the Green Hill one has also been out several times in the last 2 or 3 years.
I'm on that one.
Yeah, and I keep coming downtown to the flashing yellow. It's like, oh, it went out again. They haven't got anything reset.
That's a tough intersection to have
Yes,
at the
that is
flashing
at the
light.
best of
that's for
times.
sure.
Yep. So, okay. Well, so I'll try and get to that tomorrow. And I think that, yeah, that's definitely going to be something we're going to want to follow up on. If it's a pilot and they get away with it is such a strong phrase, but I think that if they move that idea to other sections of town, I think there will be even more pushback.
Right. If it's well received. And I think
Yeah.
that's where we're trying to get this sense of where are we now with
Yeah.
residents? Do we, are we so far at full buy-in, where everybody's jumping on board, or are there some who are kind of backing off and saying no? So that's kind of, that's the information I'm trying to get tomorrow.
Okay. Okay, great. So next thing I had on the agenda was the potential calendar events for 2022-23. I am reaching out to our favorite newspaper reporter, Ben, to see if I can get something on autumn leaf removal in the newspaper in the next week or two, because the paid crews are out, and as are the local homeowners with their blowing everything everywhere. And I would like to strongly encourage people to start mulching them rather than blowing them, particularly the ones that I'm watching blow them onto their neighbors' properties or into the local wetlands. So
Rains.
I saw them blowing right across the road into the
Yes.
shoulder. I'm like,
yes, oh yeah, no, I have a church fellow church member down who's on Harkness, and I drove down Summerhill and I could watch, there was this wave going across the road from her neighbor's property onto her property because she's got a dip. And I was just like, oh, I hope Santa's not home because she's going to come out shrieking. But yeah, I'm not sure how to address that, because a lot of times with the individual property owners, it's like, okay, yeah, be responsible. Don't, keep your leaves on your own property. But if they're paying somebody who comes during the day when they're not home, how do we get people? I guess we have to talk with the land care companies, but
I guess the
it's the
biggest
simplest
would
thing.
be, yeah, what you said, Heather, is the suggestions of what to do, mulch, and avoid the inland wetlands. The whole neighborly issue is a whole other thing that I think is outside of our purview, but at least trying to encourage the best practices for sure.
Because the other one, it's that this is the time of year where everybody is blowing all the leaves off, and then they're bringing in bark chips or wood chips to mulch things down, and it's just a combination that makes me insane, because we're cutting down trees into small pieces instead of letting the leaves go.
I saw a really cute image on one of the municipality sites, I think, about leaf blowing, and it was neat for a little flyer. I'll see if I can find it and send it to you.
Okay. Because it's not just the noise, it's not just it's the where they're going, and grass is not actually a natural land cover at this point. Leaf litter is. So and then the second one that I want then to follow that into the midwinter would be whether or not there's something that we could do you know if John Iannaco's gotten anywhere with the sand dune project, or should I call him directly? Because I'm thinking that just getting the town to put Christmas trees in that section would be a good start.
I think it's in CIP. I think he put it in the. I have to look. They just posted the First Select Woman's recommended CIP program.
Okay.
And I feel like the dune restoration project is in there this year. For not for this year, but I don't know what year he put it in, but I think it finally made it into CIP.
Oh, okay.
At least the recommended, it hasn't gone through the chopping block yet here for actual projects, but I do think it's in there.
Right. Because if it doesn't make it through the chopping block, then the low cost version is do some Christmas tree recycling and build the dune that way. So I will check. I will look at the CIP, and then I will check with John on that one. And then Dark Skies Week is coming up in April. We actually have a really good set of stuff coming together for that, with what the interns put together this summer. Our Dark Skies banner unfortunately was blown to pieces when it was up this spring. And the town has not yet replaced the hanging system across Route 1.
It was
So
funded though with ARPA
was funded?
funds. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
The
good.
funds were approved. So that is something that is in the works to replace.
Excellent, excellent. Because I know there are a whole lot of community organizations that really miss
Yes.
being able to hang stuff up there.
You're right.
And what we'd really also like, the residents of North Madison would also like them to have one hanging at somewhere on the circle. For those of us who don't get downtown more than, say, once every couple of weeks. Would
I
be
know.
fun. It'd be cool.
We have to do a bit of planning for North Madison anyways, I think,
We do.
for
And
resources.
NOMO, yeah. So that would be April, and then NOMO May. Again, the interns put together a very nice poster thing, which we will have to get printed. Actually, what I was thinking about in terms of timing was if Green Up Cleanup is usually the end of April. And I saw that if we had the yard signs printed before that, we could actually for NOMO May, we could actually hand them out to people at the Green Up Cleanup booths. And educational material. So that would be an April newspaper thing, and I will be in contact with, I think it was Louise from St. Andrew's Church. So they did it this year for the first time. So we said we would work with them jointly for that. And then the anti-idling campaign. Sophia, it looked from the box like you handed out a lot of things. Tell us who took them and what kind of people were interested.
Really we did give some away, and they were people. Oh, someone was putting it up at one of the schools. Was it downtown OLM?
Oh, okay.
So around there. And then a couple of others. I can't recall who, but I explained where would be an appropriate place. And so about, if they live in an area where there's a parking lot, that they would be allowed apartments. There must be like 2, but that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
It was good. It was a good event.
Good. Yeah. Alex said there were tons of people.
Yeah, it was such a nice day.
Oh, that's great.
So, yeah. And thank you for the grape jam. I've been eating it.
Oh, good. Good.
Yes, it's
I'm not above bribing people.
You didn't have to, but thank you.
Yeah,
I
you're very
enjoyed it.
welcome.
I don't know if you've if you tasted it yet, Alex.
oh, it's great.
Good. It's the first year in 5 years I've had actual grapes on the property. So it's like jam. Okay. So then, so we'll move forward with I'm actually going to ask permission of my property and planning person at the North Madison Church about putting one in that parking lot, because I see an awful lot of people idling there while they're waiting to pick up their kids from nursery school or whatever. So it's private property, and it would be an appropriate place to put one. We would not need to move it every 20 days. So I understand the regulations. It just makes education more difficult.
Yes.
Okay, so plan of conservation and development.
So I could give you a brief update.
Yep.
Our commission has decided to dedicate the first meeting of the month. They meet the first and third Thursdays of the month. So They're dedicating their first meeting just to plan of conservation and development updates. So that's going to be our general program for the next year. They we're just looking in now, we've hired Tyche Planning and Policy Group as our consultant. The principals there are John Guskowski, who has assisted as interim town planner in between Dave Anderson and myself. He's also assisted with our affordable housing plan that we developed earlier in the year. I've worked with him a bit, and the commission felt very comfortable having them as our assistant for this plan. What the phase where we are now, we've created a table basically of all the implementation goals from our 2013 plan. I've gone through that on a staff level to just kind of update. Is it, have we started it? Have we completed it? Is it in progress? Is it ongoing? And just to color code it, break it down for the commission, so that they can start looking to see what's relevant, what do we need to carry over. One of the other major goals that we're working on and hope to decide upon next week is just the format. If you've taken the time to read our current plan, it's organized through themes, which you find multiple, you can find multiple, I'm trying to think of the way, multiple or support for various views throughout the book, so you can kind of point to different areas to support completely opposing views even. So
Yes.
there are some challenges in that. We're looking to see if a more direct approach to subject matter is appropriate for the plan. Specific topics, housing, where we are, what's our goal, what's our plan, and our action items. Trying to, and then we have another option for the commission to kind of balance. It's a little more, it's closer to the existing layout of themes. We have new commissioners. We just received, the Board of Selectmen just approved or appointed 3 new members to the commission this week alone. So one of my concerns, we have a very new commission with new members, and it might be, the best approach might be to be a little more direct, where it's easier to follow along and take each subject matter at a time, and go through them. So we're still in the very early phases here. So we're going to establish our approach to the plan. I don't believe we're going to have a separate steering committee like was done in 2013. What I think we're going to do, and I'm trying a couple different ideas here within some other planning dollars that I have in the budget. I'd like to, knowing our main meeting time, so that everybody, I do want to do a press release about our plan. I'm also working with a consulting firm that does dedicated websites for public outreach in communities. And I've seen a couple other municipalities in Connecticut use them, and quite a bit throughout the country. And it's really a great tool to have. I may try this as a pilot program kind of, and use the plan of conservation and development as our trial run here. And it takes you through, it includes all the documents. It's kind of a Mythbuster type approach, where we have a transparent website where our residents or anybody interested in a particular subject matter can go. There may be surveys, there may be opportunities to share stories, things like that. It's all, it's monitored. And it tells you who's listening, the staff individual. You can download documents, you can watch recordings of things. It's very interactive. And I think it is something that could be great in town for many planning projects, whether it's through the land use department or the Board of Selectmen or Beach and Rec. But it's a great way to kind of steer away from the social media and have a fact-based platform for everybody to get involved. So I'm trying to make that work and use the POCD as that trial. So I'm hoping I can get that off the ground and kicked off in the next month. And then now, once we get our approach, our table of contents, ready, then we're going to start on subject matter. And that's where we're going to have individual, I'm going to reach out on behalf of the commission to all the relevant groups who may have an interest in any of these ideas, and specifically invite the groups to participate in those conversations, and use them more as a working forum, the meetings, more interactive with the commission directly, rather than having an outside group reporting back to the commission. We have a lot more committees and relevant stakeholders, I think, this time around. I think it's going to be, the goal is to make this as public of a process as possible. I've received quite a bit of interest from various commissions and agencies wanting to make sure that they're heard. And so, our chair, Carol Snow, has already kind of gone through our website, the previous steering committee. We have a list of people we want to reach out to as part of this. I just don't have anything specific to invite anyone to yet.
Okay.
to
Just
participate.
if we want to start going to the first Thursday, now are they Zooming or
Everyone
are they
is,
live?
yes, they're
Yeah.
all virtual and they're all public. Yes, they're
Okay.
absolutely to attend. And that's the goal, is to, if you want to follow along and come to every one, you're always welcome to do that.
Right. And I haven't actually tried to do this yet, but if I were to actually go looking for the recording, since we're recording this,
They're all on,
if I-
yep, right
all of them?
through the homepage of the town's website.
okay,
You scroll down, it says watch meetings on YouTube.
okay,
You click on that box. I think it'll say Board of Selectmen and then Board of Finance or Board of Ed. And then it says Town of Madison. If you click on Town of Madison, you, all the movies, the
Yeah.
recordings will come up.
okay,
I'm always in a movie here. So, but, and I date them,
Okay.
when I label them to live stream. So they'll all be on there.
perfect. Because,
And the minutes are all uploaded too,
Right.
although we really, unfortunately, we started in September, I think. So we've had a September and an October meeting, and both of those meetings were cut a little short because we had pending land use applications that were fairly contentious and needed to dedicate that meeting to them. So this really is our first meeting where we don't have any other land use business. Is this first November meeting. So I'm hoping that our commission has a little more stamina and interest in discussing here, because they were pretty worn out for the last couple.
mhm,
So,
I can imagine.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, so I'm gonna start watching those. If I can't do them live, it's good to know I can watch them recorded, because I definitely want to know what's
Yeah.
going on.
And I may end up forwarding over the previous implementation task, just to get some feedback or, interest if something comes off the top of your head that you want to make sure is in there, or if
Right.
you can recall how we may have approached this. I mean, I've only been here for a year, so some of these
Right.
things, and even as, Heather, for example, when we were going through the sustainable things,
Yeah.
trying to know what everybody has done, and the steps we've we've taken
Right.
to get to some of these goals. So far, I see a lot of them that are not completed. in the
No, no,
past.
the 2001 was the one that was really, for the, good Lord, this is going to be the fourth time I've been in town for one of these. It's, no, third time I've been active, fourth one that I've had to work with. But for the 2000, the one previous to 2000, very little of it got done. 2000, they had the actual TPAC, which was the town plan
Right.
advisory committee, it was the advocacy committee. And so they actually
Right.
went in and said, we said we are going to do this. It's a really good idea. Here, push, push, push. And so for 2013, we had no nudgers. So I think that the nudging after it was actually adopted was really, really important for getting stuff done. So,
Well, and I mean, I'll take responsibility from as town planner. That's part of my job is to, advise our commission to, get some of these things. A lot of the tasks aren't necessarily just planning and zoning oriented. This is
exactly.
across the
No, that was
board,
exactly it. It was
so it really,
yeah. It was having this group that had somebody from each of the different organizations that had some sort of thing to say, okay, yes, the Board of Selectmen is supposed to be working on that. I'll bring it into the meeting.
yeah, we
So,
need to.
yeah.
That would be one of my biggest goals is to actually, start checking some of these items. What's the point of a plan if we don't do anything?
Right.
They're not meant
Yes.
to sit on a shelf. It's supposed to
No.
be a working document.
Yes. So I think the idea of having it on a website where it can, and also where it can be transparent is, okay, this just got done. We actually
Well,
have somebody
yeah,
working on
right,
this.
and
We'll be-
working,
we'll
and-
be, yeah,
And not to upload it to the existing document to our website in 6 different parts too. It's just not easy to
no, it's not. It's not.
use. So, yeah.
All right. Okay, well, that's going to be good and big and good, and I think it's going to make hopefully a difference. And then as working through that's also going to help us with the sustainable CT stuff too. So in so many different ways.
I know. Another one, and I can do this under comments later. I met with Cecily today. So I can share that under item 10 if you want to
Yes.
stick to the agenda.
Yes, we'll stick to the
All right.
agenda for that. Yes, but yes, Cecily's another powerhouse that I'm trying to suck in here.
Oh,
Okay, so I put in a call to Lauren, but I must have gotten during lunch or something about the food recycling pilot. I just want to update people that one of the things that the Brianna put together as one of the intern projects this summer was why people should compost, and we made a little poster that told people about the availability of the Blue Earth for the food composting. And I've mentioned it at a couple of different functions that I've been at, and I've had 3 different people tell me they've signed up for the Blue Earth food composting. So I'm hoping this is not going to step on the town pilot program. But I was in Vermont. So I was in Vermont this past weekend, and it's actually apparently illegal in the state of Vermont to throw food scraps in your trash, which I think is what Connecticut is heading for if this pilot program works in some way or another. So it was quite eye-opening what they do manage to recycle up there. So much more than what we're doing. I took pictures. I will forward them around. But I'm hoping to get an update on how the town pilot's going, although it seems to sort of be falling through cracks again. Because
I don't have an update on that.
yeah, I know. I ran into Peggy Lyons somewhere 2 weeks ago, and I was like, so we're doing this, we're doing that. I'd love to have an update. And she's like, you didn't get invited to the meeting? I'm like, no. So I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I was part of one meeting and then
Yeah, and then I
not
was part of the
kept in the loop.
next one, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll invite you when we have the haulers. But I think what she said was they had one hauler who was sort of interested and another one who's like, not for me. So I guess we'll see where it's moving from there.
Okay.
But if there was some other town project that I was like, and it must have been the sand dunes, but how's the there were a couple of subdivision or affordable housing opportunities that had been working on. Did the somebody told me they had a ribbon cutting down at on Cottage Road? Was that a
The Wellington,
well, okay, yes.
they were looking to have a fundraiser at the Wellington. And this was last month, I believe, but it got rained out.
Ah,
So
okay.
it never happened.
Okay.
So no, I have not been to anything formal there. And that's the
Okay.
last I heard
Okay.
from them. So I assumed that they would be rescheduling because there's still, the Hope Foundation is still fundraising for that project.
Okay. Okay, and somebody told me that they wanted, no, that one's not affordable, so never mind. That's that one I'm gonna read inland wetlands for. The Barberry Farm. That they want to try and go into the area where originally they were gonna put Hank McGuire was talking to me about it.
There's an application to
There's an
inland
application,
wetlands
yeah.
for 12 units.
Okay,
It's on the Stony Lane Fort Path,
Right.
northeastern
Okay.
quadrant of the
Right.
property.
right. At some point, they were proposing, years ago, I mean, back before we had a conservation commission, they were proposing putting in like a sunshine house or something.
That's on the other side of the river.
The other side of the
where
property? Okay.
Milano built.
Oh, okay.
This is on the east side of the river,
Oh, okay.
on Barberry's actual property. So it would be a division in the split,
Okay.
a first split of the property. And then in that new parcel, 12 detached single family dwellings. So the Inland Wetlands Agency will open a hearing on that in their meeting in December, their first meeting in December. They deemed it
Okay.
a significant activity and went out with RFP for third-party consultant for
Oh, wow.
engineering and wetland scientist reviews. So I'm in the process. I sent the RFPs out and I've received one back so far for engineering and one back from an environmental firm. So they'll make the decision at their next meeting who to grant to, who to award that contract to, and that's at the applicant's expense.
Right. Right.
So, yeah, it's a good
Good.
resource. It's in the ordinance.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And my understanding, it's going into a fairly sensitive section of the property. So that was Hank's impression. So anyway, I was curious. I was curious.
Yeah, the plans
because-
are online.
Yeah, I will, yes,
also.
so I need to look them up.
Yep, on the last inland wetland application, all the
Okay.
documents will be linked
Excellent.
on
Okay,
the materials.
okay. Yeah. Okay, good. So administrative, yeah, Christine, thank you for forwarding me the email for Barb Yeager. I'm gonna have to, from Barb Yeager, because clearly my SBC Global email is still linked to that website. Is that through, Rita, do you think? Did I get that updated?
I think it's Cassie.
Cassie?
Yeah,
Okay.
if you want to send me your email, do you know Cassie? I
I
can
do
forward
not
her. If
Okay,
it's the email that I use, right? To contact.
right, yes. I think if you just forward her all the emails for the commission, because I suspect that Alex and Sophia came on after we even had started the website. So just
Oh, does it go to everybody?
it should go to
thought
everybody.
she-
The
I
idea
don't think
was that it,
did though.
yeah.
I feel like I
think
asked her who
I
it
talked
went
to
to.
George McManus and he was still getting it. So,
Let me write a note. I'll email Cassie and ask her who's on it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of website updates that need to be done, generally
Mhm.
speaking, and
Yeah.
well,
I'm glad if they've got if Rita as the webmaster has somebody working under her now, hopefully that's gonna,
no,
No?
IT department handles our email addresses.
Okay,
So that for
Yeah.
that's all through Cassie Morrison.
okay. Yeah, if they could check that then, because apparently there's a lot of old emails on it and that people are like, well, I enjoy staying up to date, but and, and I'm
Okay.
not getting them. So because silly me, I changed my email address. 2022, 2023 spending, we're saving money for the interns, obviously. Turns out it's about $500 to print 45 lawn signs like we did for the anti-idling thing. So definitely planning on that in the budget for this coming January. Probably we could do a set of dark sky lawn signs too. With the posters that the interns made. Or we can actually pay for a banner if we so desire. This time with the appropriate
Banner
wind,
would be great.
with the appropriate wind flaps this time.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. The problem with the yard signs is where will we put them? Do we have to keep rotating them? That's so.
If
important.
people put them on their private property is what I'm thinking. It's like I turn off my lights for dark skies. These aren't weeds, they're feeding the bees is the no mow May one. With a
Yeah,
QR
that's
code so
good.
that if people are
We-
interested.
We
They
did
can,
with the Beach and Rec, not the Bike Ped Committee.
Mm-hmm.
They had signs made up and they came in for showed locations where they wanted them for a certain amount of time within the
Mhm.
town right of way and did the temporary permit. And then they, so in addition to handing out to private property owners, they
right,
also did kind of designate corridors. It was mostly, surf club, West Wharf area where
right.
it was more heavily traffic in the summer months. But if there's specific areas, we could do something like that and then you can also do an A-frame. I don't know if we
Mhm.
have an A-frame, but get the permits for either at Academy or on the green. That's another option. That's right
Right.
there downtown,
Right, that would be good. And end up at the circle. People will put the A-frames up in the circle for people going around. You
I
see
know.
them.
And that's state property, which we
Yeah.
don't have any authority. So those are unpermitted.
Yeah,
We can't give,
unpermitted and for some reason the people get really upset if they disappear when there's mowing.
What about Robert? Like the Roberts parking lot? Are we able to ask permission to post things there? I mean, most of us go to Roberts.
That is true. We could ask
Right.
we could ask permission, absolutely.
so if you ask them permission, if they have and then if they give you permission, we'll just fill out the temporary sign permit.
Right.
There's no
Okay.
fee with it.
Right.
And so it's just a matter of approving it. So when
Right.
is night sky?
It's,
Dark
it's,
skies?
it's April, so we have
Okay, so we have
time.
time.
Yes, I just wanted to, I'm just, when I'm thinking in terms of planning for funding, I'm like, okay, so we've got we're thinking if that's about $1,000 in signs that we could, what we can spend that way. And then
Yeah.
that'll leave us with enough for the intern program.
And we need
after I
to
actually
plan
come.
ahead for the spring
Right,
for encumbering
yeah,
funds.
exactly. yeah.
Because that's a very unfortunate loss to have
Yes.
that at the end of the fiscal year, to not be able to carry that over.
Right.
So
Yeah,
we'll-
and since most of our the students, I don't know if we'll get the returning college students who want to work in May and June again this year. That was a handy for getting rid of some of the money.
If Heather, if you have a description of the internship, say our own Madison students don't want to, Connecticut College always has students working in environmental studies, and we have, we might have.
And you have
some
that
students-
really, really cool program where they pay for the interns.
Yeah, And it may or may not be under that kind of program.
Right,
It
but-
depends.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, if you say you have funds to spend and you don't have an intern, might as well see if we can find someone from
Okay.
Connecticut College. But if you also want paid interns, let me know and I can talk to a couple of people who work on that.
Okay. Okay, that would be great.
I'd need descriptions of the
Right.
kind of things they could do.
Okay, yep. We can do that. We have that written down somewhere.
We did do-
From,
We had no applicants.
we were also very late in the process.
When
so,
was this?
When
40
Fran
years ago?
before you had joined, Sophia. So, yeah.
You know, it's like who you talk to also. You had posted something about a paid internship at Connecticut College
Right. Through
Well-
the,
and no one applied?
but we learned about it in February. I think we posted it in March and they had all pretty, right before they all went off on spring break, and they had probably, the explanation we got back was probably all of them had pretty much made up their mind what they were doing for the summer already.
Who did you contact? Do you know?
It was Camel something. It was the, whoever, whatever office did the sponsored internship program.
Yeah, it was the group that does the internship program, because Fran
Yeah.
Brady's daughter went to Conn College, and so he knew about it and he contacted the people and
Okay, because there are a couple of different places you can go for that.
Okay,
It can be the Goodwin Nearing Center for Environmental Studies,
that would actually
And-
be even better.
which is better
Yes,
than just the Hale Career Planning Center.
Yeah.
Goodwin Nearing, it's great because we work with a limited group of students every year. We have a cohort about 10 to 15 students. Some have been mine. And so, yeah,
okay. Okay, that's really good to know.
so as soon as the earlier we have that info, the better, because we push them to get their plans
Oh, yeah,
early.
okay, that sounds great. So number 10, comments from the town planner. What was the other?
So it was Rockland Preserve that I
Okay.
met Cecily at today, and got to walk through the area of the controlled burn and the pollinator garden, because I did miss your walk when you did that earlier in the spring, I think it was,
Mhm.
ahead of the
Right.
burn. And to see the results of the plantings from the last go around 2 weeks ago. It looks awesome. It's really
Yeah.
great. I love all the blueberries and everything, to the little foraging area. And we talked about opportunity. There's not a lot of ARPA money left. From what I understand, they had a pretty significant meeting a couple weeks ago where they did approve quite a number of projects. So it's a small amount that's remaining. But I think they may be interested, the committee, in going back and seeking some funding for invasive species, invasive plant removal with all habitat, and then some other native plantings as well. And we talked about maybe the possibilities of future projects of viewing platforms, things
Right.
similar to that near the pond. So it was a lot of good ideas.
Mhm.
And I said, well, let's see, some of these that we might be able to plan and think proactively for the sustainable certification. Maybe we approach this, thinking like equity,
Mhm.
some of these ideas. So I told her I'll kind of give her a bullet points of all of the benefits, of this, the educational component, the habitat, and connect her with some other local professionals and things who can assist. Because even though you want to be able to use the Boy Scouts and have Eagle Scout projects, they will need some professional assistance. We're going to need to do some wetland delineation, and we'll likely need an engineer involved as well.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, I don't want the Boy Scouts sinking pilings. I don't think that's a good idea.
design. But I worked a lot with the Boy Scouts and our our Park and Rec Commission in Guilford, and the Park and Rec director for a lot of these projects. They often did them with the Land Trust on trails.
Yeah.
And so I think that's great. It's a great learning opportunity for the kids, and just a great opportunity for us. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
gem of a property. And I'm still working on trying to secure additional land that's adjacent to that. So in the long-term goals for
Right.
the town.
The in holdings from the Guilford line or the.
Yep, the
Yeah.
Walner properties.
Yes.
Are that's something that both the town of Guilford and I have been in touch with
Mhm.
the estate,
Okay.
trying to move forward with that. So
Yeah.
that would likely be grant opportunities we'd be looking at to be able to fund that. We don't necessarily have the funding in our open space, our current open space fund.
Right.
But we'll have to start getting creative if that actually is an opportunity for us, because it's a great opportunity. I
Oh,
think.
yes. Oh, yes. To take that section out of the potential for development, both for North Guilford and for North Madison. It would
Well, what a
be,
nightmare to,
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
to
yeah.
have to access that property, to go through
Yes.
Durham, Guilford, just to get back to Madison.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
makes
the
no
one,
sense to
the one at
develop
the
that
north
property.
end. Yeah, the one at the north end is bad enough. If you put them into the Guilford side where
Yeah,
they're due. Well, no, the road, they would have to they would have to put a road through the preserve. There wouldn't be any other safe way to access Madison, or we'd just have to, we'd have to pay for kids to go to McGilford or something. If there were
be a
students
mess.
up there. Yeah,
it's
it
a
would be
beautiful
mess.
property. I walked
Yes.
it in the spring. It's just lovely.
Yeah,
There are some challenges to develop it, that's for sure, but it's great.
yeah.
So,
Well, I'm just grateful it's not a golf course with 400 housing units, which was the original
that
proposal.
was, Cecily told me about that today. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was nice to finally put a face to the name and
Mhm.
get to walk the site with her and hear about some of their upcoming projects that, I think are great to partner on for sure.
Okay. So Maureen, thank you for hanging around for us. Do you have any comments you'd like to make at the, having heard from the Conservation Commission for the evening?
Actually, I was really glad to learn about plans for a website possibly just around the plan development. That's the kind of thing that I think would be helpful to a lot of us who don't have a lot of extra time, but would like to sort of stay on top of this. So thank you very much for that idea. I'll look forward to that. And to some of these other events. I don't understand how my calendar has gotten so full again after COVID. I thought I was going to keep it under control, but
You're not
it
kidding.
hasn't happened.
Oh, no.
So thank you for your work.
Oh, and thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, so I will take our everybody's favorite motion for the evening. Who would like to make it?
I move we adjourn.
Do I have a second? Okay. Sophia is seconding. All in favor, wave goodbye. Have a good night.
Have a good night, everybody.
Night.
Okay, hopefully I'm going to see you tomorrow, Erin.
Yeah.